I'm John Buchanan, and in this video we're going to look at the Drum Synth plugin within Logic Pro 10.5. As its name suggests, Drum Synth is a drum synthesizer. It allows us to create and tailor drum sounds specifically to the projects that we're working on using this brand new interface, which can either be used as a plugin in its own right or as a substitute for a pad within Drum Machine Designer. Let's see how it works. So what I've done here is I've fired up a project and I've just got one track playing, which is a Drum Machine Designer track, and I've selected this preset called 808 Flex. Now, as you probably already know, Drum Machine Designer is a bit like a track stack. What it does is it allows us to create a region, but if we fold that stack out, what we can do is to see all of the individual sounds which are available within our Drum Machine Designer sort of sound range. And what happens is that as we program a note, it is assigned to a key in order to trigger a sound. So what I've done is to create a region, a very simple little pattern here for kick, snare and hats. Let's just close that back down, which sounds like this. Okay, really straightforward. What I'm going to do is to open Drum Machine Designer so we can see clearly what's happening, and we'll see that the kick drum is being triggered from this pad here, kick 1. And if I click on that pad, what we'll see is that at the moment, this sound is a sample. It's playing back through one of Logic's new sampler engines. And of course, here, I'm in a position to change various things about it. Its pitch, its filter settings, and so on and so forth. But what I want to do is to swap this sound out, take it away from being a sample, and use Drum Synth instead. So I'm going to come down to this first sound here. I can see the quick sampler is being used at the moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap this for Drum Synth. And when I do that, instantly the display changes. What I've now got is a chance to tailor a more electronic sound to this particular instrument. So if we just solo this track for a second so we're hearing the kick by itself. You can hear it being triggered, and of course I can control its pitch, its shape, its tone, its decay. You can hear it at the moment, it's got quite a long decay phase, and what I can do is to change a whole range of things about it to tailor it to my track. So I'm going to come out of solo mode, and what we'll do now is to configure a kick drum that works better for this particular project. Okay, so you can hear how that's working really nicely. Now, let's find the snare. It too is playing back at the moment from a sample. And again, as before, what we can do is to swap this out for Drum Synth instead. And this time what I can do is to not use a kick, but in this case, I'm going to switch to a snare sound for this second pad. And again, we can tailor sounds to taste. So you can begin to see that with Drum Synth, what we have a chance to do is to configure a sound, not as a sample, but as this artificially created drum sound like some classic drum machines. And as you can see here, what I've got is a range of options which are presets within each instrument set. But what I can also do is to see that I've got kicks, claps and snares, percussion, and hats and cymbals. And I'm in a position to swap drum synth in for any sound within Drum Kit Designer. So that's how we can use drum synth within Drum Machine Designer. But if you want to keep things even more straightforward, what you can do, of course, is just to fire up a brand new instrument track. And if you want to, add drum synth just as a plugin all by itself here. So rather than having to worry about swapping out pads or substituting samplers for a new drum synth, what you can do is just to fire this instrument up, choose the instrument type you like, and then just go ahead, program a part and configure that sound to work within your track if you like. So drum synth's really flexible. It's a nice little interface which allows us to have a set of controls which are kind of bespoke for every instrument type we might want to make using that interface.